Hello students. Today in this video I'll discuss something about cyclic hydrocarbons, as some of the students asked me to explain that also, and I'll also share with you the structure of graphite, diamond and the phenotypic ratio. I told you the carbons, it form chains because of its self-linking property. It form long chains, it form branches, and it also forms rings. Okay, so the compounds which are in the form of rings are called as the or they form the cyclic carbon compounds. Okay, so cyclic carbon compounds means the compounds which are in the form of a ring. Okay, where the carbon is in the form of a ring. Okay, so we will discuss about, see here, cyclic hydrocarbons. You know what are hydrocarbons? Hydrocarbons are the compounds of hydrogen and carbon. Okay, cyclic hydrocarbons means here the hydrocarbon, it is in the form of a ring. Okay, just see here please. Cyclic hydrocarbons are those in which the carbon atom are present in the form of a ring. Okay, so carbon atom, it is in the form of a ring. Now here the first member of the cyclic hydrocarbon should have at least 3 carbon or it should have at least 3 carbon atoms. Okay, so the first member, it has the minimum 3 carbon atoms. Okay, please underline 3 carbon atoms. So just like straight chain hydrocarbon, the cyclic hydrocarbons are of two types: saturated, okay, saturated cyclic hydrocarbons and unsaturated cyclohydrocarbons. So this is very simple. So what are cyclic hydrocarbons? Where this carbon is present in the form of a ring. Okay, so and here the the minimum number of carbon atoms are 3. You can see first member of the cyclic hydrocarbon, should have at least 3 carbon atoms. Okay, and it is of two types: saturated and unsaturated cyclic hydrocarbons. Saturated cyclic hydrocarbons are those hydrocarbons where the journal formula is CnH2n. So here first we'll discuss about saturated cyclic hydrocarbons, which are also called as cycloalkanes. So here in saturated cyclic hydrocarbons, the journal formula is sorry students, the CnH2n. So please remember, this is the journal formula of cyclic hydrocarbons, saturated cyclic hydrocarbons, where there is only a single bond. Okay, please remember. Now you can see here, now this is a propane. Okay, now how we write propane in a long chain? How we will write propane? That is C and C, it is propane. So this is how we write propane. See here, 1 2 3. So this is propane. Now cyclopropane means what? This structure is in the form of a ring. So you can see here, this is cyclopropane. 3C, how you will join this 3C? This is 1C, this is 1C, this is 1C. So the formula of this is Cn, journal formula is CnH2n. So the journal formula of saturated cycloalkanes, okay, or saturated cyclic hydrocarbons is this thing. Just remember, it is saturated cyclic hydrocarbons, or you can also say cyclic alkanes. Okay, so what will happen here? This is carbon 1 and 2 here. 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. So what you are getting? 3C and 1 2 3 4 5 6 H. Okay, so if here you will take 3, according to the formula, if you will take 3, so H will be 6 only. So this is the structure of cyclopropane. We will call it as a propane because there is a single bond. And why cyclo? Because it is in the form of a ring. Okay, so students, now you see this is cyclobutane. Okay, so this is carbon, and this carbon is linked to two other carbon and 2 hydrogen. So this is butane, which is in the form of a ring, and it's called as cyclobutane. Now see here, see in this this is pentane. If you see the formula of saturated cyclohydrocarbons or cycloalkanes, so it is CnH2n. So in case of pentane, this is C5, so H will be 10. And what is the structure? 1 2 3 4 5. So this is C, this is C, 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 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, this is hexane, this is pentane. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Just see here. So what is this? C5H10. So this is 5 it is pentane. Okay, it is cyclopentane. Okay, so here one hydrogen, here one hydrogen, here one hydrogen, one hydrogen. So everywhere there is one and one hydrogen. So you can see 2 2 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So this is cyclopentane. And how you will write cyclohexane? Hexane, it is hexane. Now see, here it's very easy if you understand. Cyclohexane. Hexane means what? Hexane means 6 and it is ane, so there is a single bond. Okay, and cyclo, these 6 carbon atoms are arranged in the form of a ring. And now it's a saturated, what is this? This is saturated cyclic hydrocarbon or saturated cyclic alkane. Okay, so the formula is CnH2n. So I hope it is clear to everyone. So what is this? This is hexane. Hexane means there are 6 carbon atoms. Okay, and cyclohexane means it is in the form of a ring. So you can also say it is a cycloalkane or a cyclohydrocarbon also you can say, because this is saturated. Understood? So you can also say this as hexane. Hexane, it's a alkane which is in the form of a ring. So you can also say cyclohexane. Why cyclohexane? Because hexane, 6 carbon atoms are in the form of a ring. That is why we use cyclo. And or you can also say this as cycloalkane or cyclohydrocarbon. Understood? So cyclohexane, how you will make? If it is C6H12, so there will be 6 carbon atoms and there will be 12 hydrogen atoms. So how you will write cyclohexane? So easy. Cyclo, there is 6 carbon atom. Carbon, 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 carbon. Can you see here? This is also carbon. Now only you have to satisfy the valency. So this will become hydrogen. This will become hydrogen. Hydrogen, hydrogen. This is hydrogen. This is hydrogen and hydrogen, hydrogen. See here. Hydrogen. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you have got the structure. Cyclohexane. So this is about the saturated cyclic hydrocarbons. I told you there are unsaturated cyclic hydrocarbons also. And the formula for unsaturated cyclic hydrocarbon is CnHn. Understood? Now if C is 2, H is also 2. If C is 6, H is also 6. Okay. And this is unsaturated cyclic hydrocarbons, unsaturated. So there is a double bond and this is the formula. So there is a double bond. So in this case, okay, when the carbon atoms are 6 in an unsaturated hydrocarbon, so this is the structure which is formed. This is called as benzene. C, 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 C and C. Now here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here also there are 6. Okay. Now what is this? This is unsaturated hydrocarbon. So unsaturated means there is a, here there is a double bond. So there are alternate double bonds. One is this, here, here. These are the double bonds. Now what you have to do? Sorry, I could not make the structure very nicely, but you can try making it. Okay, so here what you will do, you will simply satisfy the valency 1, 2, 3. So what you will get here, you will get hydrogen. Here 1, 2, 3, here 1 hydrogen. 1, 2, 3, 1 hydrogen. 1, 2, 3, here 1 hydrogen. 1, 2, 3, 1 hydrogen and 1 hydrogen. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 6 hydrogen and 6 carbon. So this is the structure which is C6H6, which is called as benzene. So just remember the journal formula in case of unsaturated cyclohydrocarbons and in case of saturated cyclohydrocarbons. So it's very, very easy, students. So we will do till here. Actually, there are many things in this chapter which needs lot of practice. Now I'll just tell you about graphite. Now carbon, just see what is allotrophy. The phenomena by which an element exists in two or more forms, okay, which have same chemical but different physical properties, is called allotrophy. Okay, here the element exists in more than two forms. Chemical properties are same but physical properties are different. So carbon exists in three forms, that is diamond, graphite and fullerenes. Okay, now I will just tell you the structure of diamond. This is the structure of diamond. It's a tetrahedral structure. Diamond is the it has the highest rigidity due to the presence of network of covalent bond. Please see, it has high melting and boiling point. Generally the covalent compounds have low melting and boiling point, but this high diamond has high melting and boiling point. Okay, because the large amount of energy is required to break the network of covalent bonds, which I will just tell you. It is a good conductor of heat, but is an insulator of electricity. So you know general this, and also it is the hardest substance known. Okay, see here now. This is a tetrahedral structure of diamond. Here, what is diamond and graphite? They are the form of carbon only. They differ in the structures. Now this is the structure of diamond. Here each carbon atom is linked with other 4 carbon atoms. This is the carbon atom. It is linked with, see, this carbon atom. Okay, this is the carbon atom which is linked with other 4. See here, this one, which is linked with other 4 carbon atom. Here this is the carbon atom linked with other 4 carbon atoms. So here each carbon atom is linked with other 4 carbon atoms and it forms this type of a tetrahedral structure. See here, I'm drawing this. This is a tetrahedral structure, and due to the presence of this structure there is a network of strong covalent bonds here, and this makes this diamond the hardest substance. Okay, and it also has a high melting and boiling point because there is a strong covalent bonds here. Okay, now see graphite. Graphite is soft and slippery. Graphite is also a form of carbon only they differ in the structure. Now see, it has a hexagonal rings. See here, the carbon atoms is forming hexagonal ring. Understood? See, this is a hexagon. Here each carbon atom is linked with each carbon atom is linked to other 3 carbon atoms. Okay, this carbon atom 1 2 3, this carbon atom 1 2 3. Okay, so just remember this. Here in graphite hexagonal rings are formed. You can see these are the hexagonal rings. Okay, these are the hexagonal rings. This is 1 ring, 2 3. Now there are forces, like there is a electrostatic force of attraction, which this type of a force of attraction is very strong force of attraction, which you generally which we find in ionic bonds. Here there is a van der Waals force of attraction, and van der Waals forces of attraction is very weak. So between the layers, between these hexagonal layers in graphite, there is a very weak van der Waals forces of attraction, and due to which the layers, they slip over one another, which makes graphite slippery and soft. Okay. It is soft and slippery, which can be felt by touching the lead of the carbon pencil. Carbon pencil, okay, the lead with which we write, that is actually a graphite. So that is very soft and slippery. Softness of its structure is due to its sheet-like structure. It is slippery because various layers of carbon atoms are joined together through weak van der Waals forces, which slides over one another. Understood? Now you can see then there is another structure. Generally they ask about this also. Buckminster-Fullerene structure. It is the third allotrope of carbon. Please remember, newly discovered allotrope. It was discovered in black of lamp and candle. There are spherical Gantt molecules which may be made of 60 to 350 carbon atoms. Okay. they contain even number of carbon atoms. So it contains even number. The common and most stable form of fluorines is C60. They ask it. Okay, so just remember, the most stable is C60. It is also called black ball. Understood? So this you have to remember. Okay, now I just want to tell you one thing about the monohybrid and dihybrid phenotypic ratio, as some of the students they ask me about this. In a monohybrid cross, in F2 generation, the ratio is 3:1. 3 dominant. If 4 plants are produced, then out of 4 plants, 3 are dominant, 1 is recessive. Or you can say 1:2:1. 1 is pure dominant, means both the genes are same. 1 is pure recessive, means both the genes are recessive genes, which we also say pure, and these two are heterozygous. Dominant. Here there is one dominant gene, but there is a recessive gene. Now I'll just tell you what you okay, suppose if this is a parent plant TT, this is plant 1 and this is plant 2, means this plant is tall, it has tall genes, this is dwarf, it has dwarf genes. Okay, and this is pure, this we say homozygous tall, homo, or you can say pure because both the genes are same. We say homozygous recessive here, or you can also say pure recessive because both the genes are same. Now what is a genotype? I told you genotype is the genetic combination which we cannot see, which is present in the cell. Phenotype are the external physical characters, external visible physical characters. Now what is the phenotype of this tall? Plant is tall, plant is dwarf. Okay, now if I say that now you know what are the plants which is produced in F2 generation. If I take this ratio into consideration, it is TT1, TT, another TT, TT. So this is the F2 progeny, the progeny which is, or the plants which can be produced in F2 generation. Like if 4 plants are produced, then 1 is pure tall, 2 are tall but not pure tall, heterozygous you can say, tall, and 1 is pure recessive. Okay, or 1 is pure dwarf. Understood? Now if I am writing here 3:1, what is this 3:1? This 3:1 is phenotypic ratio. Phenotypic ratio. Why? What does it mean? If I say 3:1, what does it mean? I'll say that out of 4 plants, 3 plants are tall, I'll say. So tall is a visible character and 1 is pure, or 1 is dwarf. So this tells us about this is a phenotypic ratio. Okay, understood? Now like if I take the case of dihybrid cross. Now dihybrid cross, the ratio is F2 ratio, I'll say. F2 ratio is 9:3:3:1. So if the parent plant is RRYY into another plant is RRYY. You know this is round, shape is round, color is yellow, shape is wrinkled and the color is green. So in the F2 generation, what we will get? F2 generation, what does it mean? 9:3:3:1. This is the phenotypic ratio. It tells us about the phenotype of the progeny which is obtained in F2 generation or which is obtained in F1 generation. If this is 9, means 9 plants have a dominant traits, or you can say out of 16 plants which are obtained, 9 plants will have round shape of the pod and yellow color of the pod. Understood? And then 3 plants will have round shape and green color of the pod. Another 3 plants will have wrinkled shape and yellow color of the pod. And 1 plant will have wrinkled shape and green color. So this is actually the phenotypic ratio, which tells us about the phenotype of a progeny. Students, please write the definition here. of a phenotype and a genotype. See, genotype is the genetic constitution of any character of an organism. Genetic constitution. If anyone is tall, suppose the pea plant is tall, so what is the genetic constitution? It can be both T and capital, both genes can be capital T, one gene can be capital T and small t also, so that is the genetic combination. Okay, and phenotype is the external or the physical appearance of any character of an individual produced by interaction of genes and environment. So just remember, it's the external physical visible characters. Understood? You can write the definition of this also. Homozygous, when an individual contains identical alleles you don't know, you can say the same genes. Okay. Heterozygous, when the genes are different. Now homologous chromosomes, you can see here, the pair of exactly similar chromosomes in shape, size and structure which bear same genes at a same loci. Actually, which bear same genes, which bear the genes controlling a particular character at the same loci. Same genes. Same genes we cannot say, we can say which bear the genes, okay, controlling a same character like height at a same loci. Okay, so first filial generation, the first generation of offspring, or you can say the hybrids, which is produced by a cross between genetically different individual called parents. Genetically they are different, like we cross TT, capital TT, homozygous dominant parent with a TT, small TT. So here they are genetically different individual. Second filial generation, the progeny which is produced by crossing between the individuals of F1 generation is called second filial generation. What is a monohybrid cross? The cross between two organisms used to study the inheritance of a single pair. Allele you will not understand, you can say single pair of genes or single character. The hybrid cross, the cross between two organisms used to study the inheritance of two pair of genes or two characters. Understood? What is a trait? Trait like tallness, it is, and dwarfness. And what is a character? Height, we can say a character. Okay, height is a character, but height can be tall and dwarf. So this tall and dwarf are called as traits. Okay, students. So whatever doubts you people have, some students they said that ma'am, please explain us cyclic hydrocarbons also. Some ask me about the phenotypic ratio. So I have explained this in the video, and I will also explain the same thing in the offline class also. So in case of doubt, you can see you can view the video. So again, if you have any doubt, please ask from me during an offline class or even during a live class. Okay. Thank you, students.